Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire, Ultimate Edition, all companion builds in the game. This includes just the main companions, not the sidekicks. Sidekicks are, well, they're bland and boring, they don't have their own personal quests. And when they don't have their own personal quests, there is no reason for me to do them. They're not much different than mercs, basically, so this is only for the main companions. Or should I say, Eder, Tekehu, Xoti, Maia, Aloth, Pallegina, and Serafen. Let's not waste time, and let's go. Before we start with the video, I got a new channel about my cat. It's not a gaming channel, but it's a relaxing channel with a lot of gaming music, so you can chill out while doing something else. So, if you have a daughter, mother, sister, even your mother-in-law, recommend them the channel. They're also gonna like it, as well as if you have cats. It will be something like a cat TV as well. Your cats will have fun too. Thanks up front for subscribing on the new channel. Let's go to the video. So, a multi-class Eder, rogue fighter. Now, how do we play Eder? During the campaign, we wanna max out mechanics and we wanna max out streetwise. Once you respec on level 20, once you're done with campaign, and once you're done with all the DLCs, then you're gonna respec, and we're gonna take athletics, max it out, and we're gonna take survival, maxed out. So that's the entire difference of those two builds. In this case, I'm gonna showcase campaign build for Eder. Have in mind just to switch when you fight mega bosses for the other skills. So now we're taking mechanics and we're taking streetwise. Eder is gonna be extremely useful in skill checks this way. He's gonna cover most of Neketaka with streetwise, and he's gonna cover the entire game with high mechanics, okay? Unlocking doors, traps, spotting traps, hidden objects, and so on. That's Eder's job from this point on. After all, he is a mix of fighter and rogue. Rogues are for mechanics. Level 2, next. What we're gonna take here with the starting point. The first one is a no-brainer. It's Discipline Barrage. You whack Discipline Barrage and then you knock someone out. That's your combo with Eder early on in the game. Level 3 now. We go with mechanics. We go with streetwise. We say next, and now from the fighter we're gonna take fast runner, or better to say we're gonna take stride and disengage. Level 4 for Eder, mechanics, streetwise, and now we're taking fighter stances. That's how great it is. We don't want to miss fighter stances, so we can go straight up for the guardian stance. During the campaign you will play with a guardian stance. During mega bosses, you will play with a conqueror stance. And that's about it. That's the entire difference between builds for campaign and builds for mega bosses. In skills and here in one simple passive. So from the fighter, we're taking fighter stances. And from the rogue, we're gonna take weapon and shield style, because we want to play with a shield. Now, as far as weapon proficiency goes, we're gonna learn heavy shield, and we say next. Again, level 5, taking mechanics, taking streetwise, we say next. And now we're going to the rogue, and what we're gonna take is convert hits to crits with dirty fighting. It's just crazy good passive early on. On level 6, again taking mechanics into streetwise, we go to the fighter and we're gonna take determination. Crazy good for defenses all around. That's what we're gonna take now. Level 7, mechanics, streetwise, we say next. And here, as far as fighter goes, we immediately take rapid recovery. And we say next. For the rogue, we're gonna take riposte. Level 8, mechanics, streetwise. Now, with Eder, from the fighter, what we're gonna take is to convert grazes into hits with proficient weapons. And for the weapon proficiency, this is very simple. What you want in Eder is basically a saber. You can also play with maces, flails. This all depends what weapons you like in a game. What I would recommend though, for Eder is to learn the sword for the start, so you can switch between saber and a sword. And we say next. On level 9, mechanics, streetwise. And now, for the campaign, there is +1 enemies engaged. This is only valid during the campaign. During mega bosses, you won't need hold the line. So have that in mind when you respec, do not waste points on hold the line. During the campaign, it's fine, we can take it now. But this is one extra point that you can later on push into snake reflexes or into bull's will or into bear's fortitude. Okay, very important for the mega bosses. Now, hold the line. Level 10, we're taking mechanics into streetwise, and now we got 2 points, one into each subclass. The first thing we're gonna take is, of course, weapon specialization from the fighter. And from the rogue, this is very good passive persistent distraction. You get attackers distracted, you reduce their perception, hence you reduce their accuracy. So we're taking persistent distraction. And we say next. Level 11, mechanics into streetwise. And now it's time to upgrade some defenses on Eder. The very first one we're gonna take is fearless, of course. So we say next, up to level 12. Mechanics, streetwise. After we took fearless, now we're gonna take body control, might affliction. For the weapon proficiency this time, we can go either with maces or with clubs. Let's take club. On level 13, mechanics, streetwise. And now, on tier 5, we got Guardian Stance for the campaign. That's what we're gonna take. Once you respec, as I said, you're gonna go with a Conqueror Stance for mega bosses at the late game. So this time we're taking the Guardian Stance, even more enemies engaged. For the rogue part, we're gonna take Deep Wounds, cause it's gonna convert all type of damage into raw damage, okay? It's very good to have. Later on, we're gonna get extra raw damage with Arterial Strike. So now we're taking Deep Wounds. Level 14 is also a huge level for Eder. The reason is very simple. Here into Fighter, we're gonna take Armor Grace and reduce armor recovery penalty by 25%. So heavy armor won't be 55% anymore, it's gonna be 30%. So Eder, in heavy armor, will act like he has medium armor. Extremely good passive. On level 15, again we're taking mechanics into streetwise. And now it's quite simple, we're taking tough. More health on Eder. And we say next, level 16, mechanics into streetwise. And now we got 2 points. One with a fighter, the other one with a rogue. From the fighter, we're gonna take flat spell resist. And now it's time to learn from the rogue with the Arterial Strike, combine raw damage with Deep Wounds and Arterial Strike. That's gonna be a lot of raw damage over time on Eder. Okay, he's gonna start dealing a lot of damage as well. Not only that he's tanky, he also deals a lot now. For the weapon proficiency, we can learn maces or flails, or if you wanna be accurate and you wanna play with spears, I recommend spears. But what's the best by far? There is a great battle axe in the game that Eder can use. But again, there is also a great saber, okay? So in this case, just to make sure that we cover all type of damage, we got slash, we got blunt, we got combination of slash and pierce. Now we need flat pierce, and you can consider taking up spears. So you cover all type of damages in the game. Next, level 17, mechanics into streetwise. And now this one is very simple. In the fighter ability tree, we're taking Uncanny Luck, flat percentage to resists and crits. And we say next, level 18, mechanics and streetwise. And now from the fighter, we're gonna learn Discipline Strikes, or better to say we're upgrading Discipline Barrage into Discipline Strikes to get intuitive, or better to say we convert more hits to crits, okay, and better accuracy as well. And we say next, on level 19, we're taking mechanics into streetwise. Now the final part opened up. It's more for Empower. Eder doesn't need Empower because he's a fighter rogue. He needs other passives, okay. Empower doesn't mean that much, especially not on the hardest difficulty available in the game, on Path of the Damned. So there is the revival. Again, it's a waste of a point. Even though it sounds useful, it's actually waste of a point because you want to be stronger. Okay, not to revive. There are items in a game that can revive you, there are spells in a game that can revive you. This, even though it sounds good, just don't take it, go with something else. For example, Weapon Mastery, add more damage to it there. And we say next. Now from the rogue part, this is very simple, it's Death Blows. Sneak attack damage 50% more with weapons. When enemies are under 2 different crowd control spells, Eder is gonna hurt like crazy. Okay, and Death Blows are just way too good to skip. And the final level, level 20, mechanics, streetwise. And now we got 3 options, basically. We got improved critical, we got flat deflection, and we got resistance to dexterity afflictions. Your choice what you wanna take here. What I would recommend for the hardest difficulty, it's unstoppable. Okay, if you play on hard and below, you go with improved critical to actually burst enemies faster. Deflection only if Eder is the only tank in a game, or better to say in your team. Okay, what we're taking now is unstoppable, so now we covered resistances to all afflictions in the game. We say next, the final weapon of choice could be a mace or a battle axe, your choice. And we finish up with Eder. How do we play Eder? As I said, once you respec, you want to play with cleaving stance. Upgraded cleaving stance against mega bosses, but during the entire campaign you want to play with a guardian stance, alright? And that's the entire trick. Now, how you open up? You open up with discipline strikes, and then you immediately transfer into arterial strike, raw damage over time, you're soaking up damage, you are engaging like 5-6 enemies at the same time, soaking up damage and dealing raw damage, and that's about it. Eder is quite simple to play with. Also, you always stand up first in line when enemies come to your team, so you can defend them with Eder. Now, what about itemization? For weapons, we're using Grave Calling Saber, absolutely the best freaking weapon on Eder. Also, you're not wrong if you play with Kapana Taga. It's quite good for engaging multiple enemies, especially when upgraded. Also, you can use Frostfall and you can use Modveer. Yeah, it's absolutely your choice what you're gonna take for Eder. There's a lot of great weapons in the game and a lot of them count on Eder. Pick smart. Have an option with slash damage, or better to say in the other hand, blunt or pierce, so you can hurt most of the enemies in the game. Depends out of their resist, of course. As far as shields go, Cadu's Cult, absolutely great shield on Eder. Also medium Latandria's Devotion is great. I think you can buy it in Neketaka early on in a game. And of course there is the Wintertide Bulwark and Shining Bulwark, as well as Mundane Shield. Okay, so no matter what you equip, it's absolutely great on Eder. I recommend a heavy shield, because there is nothing better than a heavy shield in a game, no matter what heavy shield. Yeah. As far as other items go, for the helmet, Ma of Ingmirk is great on Eder because of extra perception. The bigger the perception, the better the chance you're gonna hit someone. For the amulet, flat resolve, the bigger the resolve, the tankier Eder is. Armor, only heavy armor. Best armor on Eder, 1 dozen stood. Okay, there is no better armor basically on Eder. For the rings, Fortitude Reflex Will Flat, Minor Protection, and Ring of Solitary Wanderer, resolve up on Eder. Defenses plus the Lone Wolf perk. For the boots, Pathfinder boots, absolutely great, Dexterity and Reflex. For the cape, Nemnox Cloak, of course, gives plethora of different buffs on Eder, because he's gonna receive damage and he's gonna benefit a lot when receiving damage with Nemnox Cloak. For the gloves, Helios Talons, very good, it deals different type of damage, and of course raw bleed damage over time, combined with raw bleed damage from actives and passives in a skill tree, Eder deals non-stop raw damage like this. For the belt, Constitution flat, no matter if it's +3, no matter if it's this Girdle of Mortal Protection, as long as it has Constitution, Eder benefits out of high Constitution. Early on in the game, you'll probably play a lot with Burglar's Gloves, and it's also useful because of mechanics, so you can unlock most of the stuff in the game. That would be it with Eder. Now, as far as Xoti goes, when we level up, as far as skills go, what we need is Alchemy and Religion. And we max it out from level 1 to level 20, we don't need anything else on Xoti. Let's move up to classic leveling. Xoti needs to be under respec like 3 or 4 times during the game. So, for example, when you are level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until you reach level 6, you will use Blessing for Insightful, okay, to boost perception, or better to say, the chance to hit. Then you're gonna need to respec again, remove Blessing, and go with Dire Blessing, the upgraded version of Blessing. So Xoti requires a lot of respecs, yeah. What I'm gonna provide in this build, I'll tell you what to go for and when to respec, but we're gonna stick to the final build, how it's supposed to look like on level 20. So you're taking Blessing, but in case of the final build, we're taking Holy Power, and we move on. Level 3 for Xoti, Alchemy, Religion, and now it's pretty much simple here. We take Iconic Projection because it's great healing and damage dealing spell on Xoti. And of course, in passives, we're taking Weapon and Shield style. Level 4, Alchemy, Religion. Now, for early game, you want to take something like Repulsing Seal or Prayer of the Body or even Halt, okay? But for the late game and for the final build, because we're gonna switch between Sword and Board, or better to say Sickle and Lantern, and Two-Handed Staff, we're taking a Two-Handed style as well, because one will be for one type of spells, the other weapon for the other type of spells, okay? But consider respecking for this on like level 16, 17, where you're gonna take Two-Handed style. Till then, pick some of the spells that I told you. As far as weapon proficiency goes, this is very simple. We're picking up Dagger and we're picking up Quarterstaff, and then everything else doesn't matter for Xoti. First, we're gonna take the Dagger. Level 5 on Xoti, sticking with Alchemy, sticking with Religion, and now the third line opened up. This is very important for Xoti, and these two spells, Dire Blessing and Consecrated Ground, are great from start to finish. Okay, from level 1 to level 20, they're extremely valid, which means now it's time to respec for the first time, where we won't take Blessing. We're gonna remove Blessing and we're gonna start using Dire Blessing, upgraded version of a Blessing. Up we go to level 6, Alchemy, Religion. Now for level 6, what we're gonna take is Combat Focus for extra concentration. And we say next. On level 7, Alchemy, Religion. And now comes the time for big power spike on Xoti. Everything is absolutely great. When I say everything, I mean everything. She receives Circle of Protection, great protective spell AoE. She receives the Shining Beacon, great debuff and burn damage to enemies. Devotions for the Faithful, great buff, debuff area of effect. All of these spells are absolutely great, including the passives. So Xoti now, what's the best thing to go for mid-game? And so I recommend going into the spell shaping immediately, so we have bigger area of effect, and we're gonna take Devotions for the Faithful for extra accuracy and debuff on enemies accuracy, okay? Even though this is burn damage, if you opt in to take Shining Beacon, then you have to take Scion of Flame, okay? So have that in mind. And you're supposed to take Divine Mark as well. This is not the build for that. This is like the best build on Xoti, so that's why we're taking Devotions for the Faithful into spell shaping. Up to level 8, Alchemy, Religion. The single point that we get, it's time to go for the Scion of Flame and slowly prepare for the Migran's Might all the way for the late game. Now we say next. What did I say here? We got Hatchet, we got Dagger, now we need a Quarterstaff, Two-Handed Quarterstaff, and we're good to go. Alchemy and Religion on level 9. And now new spells opened up again. What do we take? These 3 spells. Litany for the Spirit. Acute is great when you wanna buff up Tekehu or Aloth because of the power level. Barring's Dead Door, the best spell in the game, but it has to be in combination with Salvation of Time, which I'll explain later on, and Champion's Boon, absolutely great buff for your tanks. Also, we got range with spells, we got tough, we got practically everything that we need here, so we need 3 plus 4, 7 points to take everything here. So this is the most important tier for Xoti, tier 5. What do we take though in this case? Because it's mid-game, we won't need such overpowered spells early on. These are the spells for the mega late game and for the mega bosses. What we're gonna take is range with spells, and we're gonna take action speed with spells. Later on, we immediately take the healer. So on level 10 now, we're going up straight for the healer. And we say next. Level 11, Alchemy, Religion. The new great spells opened up. You will play most of the time during the campaign with a spiritual ally. Once you reset and prepare for mega bosses, then you're gonna take Salvation of Time instead of spiritual ally. Okay, for the mega bosses. But in this case now, we got 2 points. We're taking tough on Xoti and we're taking spell resist, so we're pushing up those passives to the max because she receives free spells on the left side, and we took most important spells for the mid game. Okay, and we say next. Level 12, Alchemy, Religion. We say next. Again, now you should take spiritual ally, but I'm giving you mega late game build for Xoti, and we're taking the Salvation of Time. And we say next. For the weapon proficiency from this point on, it really doesn't matter what you're gonna take, so take whatever the hell you like and move on. Level 13, Alchemy, Religion. And now there's a bunch of great spells, again, for Xoti, as well as full empower spells. So what is the most important thing to take now? Great one to have is the Storm of Holy Fire, great opener, but you're gonna need to respect for endgame, because it sucks against mega bosses. Same can be said about Cleansing Flame. These are campaign spells, while Minor Avatar is endgame mega bosses build, when Xoti is actually the strongest in combination with Shields for the Faithful. So these are the 2 spells that you're gonna use basically. Okay, these buffs over here. And we say next. Level 14, Alchemy and Religion. And now we're taking the Barring's Dead Door in combination with Salvation of Time. No one will die on you, and you can prolong Shields for the Faithful. You can prolong the Dire Blessing. Better to say your entire party will be extremely strong at level 14 because of Xoti. This is her biggest power spike from this point on. We say next. Level 15, we're taking Alchemy and Religion. Now a lot of us say, why don't you use Resurrection and Revival? You don't need it, you're immortal with Barring's Dead Door into Salvation of Time. Who will you revive when no one's gonna die? No one's gonna get knocked out. It's completely pointless, okay? And that's why this build is so superior to the rest of the builds in the game. I would easily say the most superior build in the game, all classes combined, would be this build that I'm giving you for Xoti. The strongest build in the game by far, most OP. Now, with a single point remaining, what we're gonna take is Litany for the Spirit. We make Tekehu and Aloth way much stronger because of the acute buff, and we can prolong it with Salvation of Time. Now we say next. On level 16, we're taking Alchemy into Religion, and now new spells opened up. Crowns for the Faithful is probably the best AoE buff in the game, so we're taking it immediately. These 2 you're gonna ignore, Dismissal and Spark Souls, but we're gonna take Hand of Veil and Vow, because it's absolutely great. It deals damage, burn damage, we got fire penetration, and it heals allies in a line. You just need good positioning, I'll explain it later on. And we say next. For the weapon proficiency, again, it doesn't matter, pick whatever you like. And we go to level 17, Alchemy and Religion. And now, with the extra point remaining, we can go into either into the Litany for the Body and we take extra spells, or you can go with some AoE, but you're gonna respec later on, Storm of Holy Fire or Cleansing Flame, but there is really no need. What we're gonna take is classic accuracy with empowered attacks. 10 to accuracy with empowered attacks with accurate empower, because now we are preparing accurate empower to empower Maegran's might. Okay, for the mega late game, so Maegran's might empowered will deal a lot of damage, and that's the most important thing and the only damage dealing spell that you need on Xoti. Everything else, you buff the team up and you debuff enemies. That's how you play Xoti. Up to level 18, alchemy into religion, and now we can take penetration with empowered attacks. We need to make sure that we penetrate enemies with penetrating empower. Up to level 19, alchemy, religion. Now the big power spike with prestige, power levels up, and we're taking Maegran's might. And that would be the build for the final point on level 20. We're taking one out of these two empowers, so it's either potent empower or the lasting empower. I would say go for the potent empower, because a lasting empower you can always use salvation of time and you can have a lot of benefits out of it, but this needs to be, empowered on some of the spells that are buffs. It's better to empower flat damage with Maegran's might and use all other buffs in combo with salvation of time, instead of prolonging them with empowered lasting on buff spells or debuffs, no matter. So in this case, we're taking the final point into potent empower, and this is how Xoti is supposed to look like for the mega late endgame, once you respec at least 3 or 4 times. As I said, good spells to have along the way. During the campaign, before you respec for the first time, is Blessing, and then when you take Dire Blessing, you reset and you erase Blessing for something else. When you take Storm of Holy Fire or Cleansing Flame, later on you're gonna respec and you're gonna take Maegran's might and use those 2 points into passives to slowly prepare your build to look like this for the mega bosses. This is how you win against mega bosses in the game, and this is probably the best way to do it with Xoti like this. For the final weapon proficiency, doesn't matter. Take whatever you like. So, how do we play Xoti? I usually open up with a Dire Blessing. And that's like in 70% of cases I'll open up with Dire Blessing. If I plan to deal damage with Aloth, I'll open up with a buff litany for the spirit on Aloth. If I plan to open up with Tekehu and his Maelstrom, then I'll buff Tekehu with litany for the spirit. The best opener when there's a lot of enemies is by far the Crowns for the Faithful, into the Dire Blessing, into the Consecrated Ground, and then you're ready to cast other buffs or damage dealing spells. When you wanna burst someone out, when there is a mini boss or something like that, you want to empower Maegran's might. When allies are in danger and they need healing, Hand of Ale and Vow is the best healing in a game, no matter if you have Holy Radiance or flare up healing, or to withdraw someone from the fight and heal them up along the way. There is no better healing than Hand of Ale and Vow. What is the trick with Xoti? Xoti doesn't work without a Cipher, so your main needs to be a Cipher, or you need to have Serafen in your team. Why? You need to have him because of Ancestor's Memory, or better to say, to give Brilliant to Xoti. So Xoti recovers her spells. What does it mean? It means that you can stack up Salvation of Time and you can keep prolonging beneficial effects, or better to say, all the buffs you casted in a game, including the Undying Baring's Death Door, where no one can die. So the only thing you need to care about is to put Brilliance, Ancestor's Memory on Xoti, and then you prolong with Salvation of Time. It takes some practice, okay? It takes some time to get to know the game, what to cast and when. You need to practice this, or you can check my videos how I killed mega bosses with Xoti and how I was casting spells at what time to prolong, and then there was like the entire list of buffs that last for 300 seconds. But you gotta have a Cipher. Doesn't matter if it's your main or if it's Serafen, you gotta have a Cipher with Brilliance for Xoti to work. When you put Brilliance on Xoti, Xoti is the strongest character, NPC, companion, no matter how you wanna call her, in the game. That's about it. What items do you use? Xoti is also Executioner, so later on when you find a Soulbound Dagger, Maruk's Amant, you can easily execute even the mega bosses with a worthy sacrifice. Believe it or not. In the meantime, of course, you will use her sickle, and in the other spot, you're gonna use a Chromoprismatic Quarterstaff. This is a great staff when you wanna deal damage, so before casting Empowered Maegran's Might, okay, you wanna switch to the staff and deal damage with Maegran's Might. And then when you wanna cast buffs, healing, debuffs, you're gonna switch to her Lantern and Sickle or Dagger, and you're gonna start casting buffs and debuffs. So do not forget to switch weapons for Empower Maegran Might when you have this staff equipped. It's very important. As far as other gear goes, for the helmet, Taos Headdress, Intellect, Accuracy. For the amulet, we got Bone Setter Torque. You can recover injuries during combat, quite useful. For the armor, as long as you have 0 recovery time, that's the armor that you want to use. You need 0 recovery time so you can cast spells faster on Xoti. And that's the most important thing. Light armor, medium armor, as long as it's 0. Robes, it really doesn't matter. In this case, I was using Effigy's Husk. For the rings, Halgot Swarmed, we go with a Priest Restoration power level and Area of Effect ring of Overseeing, 10% area of effect. For the boots, Priest Boots, okay, healing done, up, Footprints of Ahutaka. For the cape, Cloak of the Theocrat, Intellect and Resolve. For the trinket, Kaihoa. For the gloves, Apothecary gloves, of course, on Xoti, because of alchemy. And that's the entire build. We got belt left, flare up Constitution, so you raise maximum health. Yeah. A very good hatchet on a Xoti is Acolyte's Frostbite as well. Basically, it's your choice what you wanna play with. So, as far as Aloth goes, we want Arcana, so we can use high-level scrolls. And from the bottom line, basically what you need in your team depends who you play with. Usually good things to go with is Insight or, where was it, Metaphysics. In this case, we're gonna go with Metaphysics, but you're not wrong if you go with Insight as well. Again, it depends out of your team. We're sticking with Arcana and Metaphysics. We play Aloth as flat Wizard. The reason is very simple. We do not multi-class Aloth because Aloth is, well, Wizard is at its strongest when it has access to tier 8 and tier 9 spells. Yeah, and there's some great tier 9 spells. Game-changing spells. So that's why we're sticking with a Wizard. Flat Wizard. Now, everything depends on what grimoires you're gonna use for Aloth. And that's how you level up and that's how you learn spells. This is not Pillars 1 where you get to learn spells from scrolls or from other grimoires, okay, to copy spells from other grimoires. This is, you know, you're more limited on what you can actually learn and you need to pick your spells smart. For me personally, the best grimoire was Mora's grimoire. This is how I won against mega bosses on Path of the Damned difficulty, yeah. Also very good grimoires to consider is Ninjagat's Teachings, Lengrad's Tome of Preservation. Grimoire of Vaporous Wizardry is great early grimoire, and probably the best grimoire that you can take early on is this one with a Shadow Flame. Okay, also a very good grimoire would be Archimere, but that's a specific build, illusionist build, and that's why I'm saying you will spend most of your time playing with Ninjagat's Teachings, okay, and at the end when you respec Aloth you want to have this grimoire, right? Spells are pretty much the same, so what we're gonna do for this build, because you're gonna spend most of the game playing with Ninjagat's Teachings, we're gonna create a build around Ninjagat's Teachings, and then I'll show you my build and what spells I'm using for the mega bosses with Mora's Infested Grimoire, okay, for the mega late endgame once you respec. So here we're gonna equip Ninjagat's Teachings, and now we're gonna create a build for Aloth for the classic campaign and the DLCs. So, as I said, we're sticking with Arcana and we go with Metaphysics. And now, for the level 2, most of the time early in the game you will spam Mignoleta's Minor Missiles, yeah. Slicken would be the best freaking spell from start of the game to mega late game. You can even knock down mega bosses when stacking up Slicken, so consider using Slicken non-stop whenever available. This is your main crowd control ability, even though it's tier 1, that's how great it is in the game. What we're gonna learn as the very first spell would be, of course, Chill Fog. Combining Slicken into Chill Fog early game dominates the battlefield. Crowd control, double crowd control, plus damage over time. That's the combo of these two spells, and then you can whack them with Mignoletta's minor missiles. After level 3, we're sticking with Arcana and Metaphysics. And now we got 2 points to spend. What is the most important thing to do here? First of all, you'll probably use one-handed weapons like wands and so on, so we're gonna take one-handed style for extra crits, and we're gonna take Merciless Gaze. Every time now, from this moment, when you open up a fight, you want to open with Merciless Gaze and then cast the spells, because this gives a huge buff, okay? Converse hits to crits. After level 4. On level 4, Arcana, Metaphysics, we say next, and now we're gonna also take two-handed style, because we want to wield both wands, scepters, and rods. Okay, some of them are one-handed, some of them are two-handed. We don't need any other spell from here, so we can focus on switching weapons along the way. You're gonna need it for the mid-game, and it's better to take it immediately. Yeah, instead of respecing later on. For the weapon proficiency, we're learning rods, we already have scepter, and the last one we're gonna take will be wands. Okay, now we're gonna take scepter. Level 5, Arcana, Metaphysics, we say next, again we get 2 points, and what we're gonna do now? Now we're taking another extremely good spell called Deleterious Electricity of Motion. How do we play Aloth from this moment on? We trigger this spell, okay, so we get Swift for 45 seconds, then we trigger Merciless Gaze, and then we whack enemies with Slicken, Missiles, and Chill Fog. That's the combo early on in the game with Aloth. Now comes the part, whether we're gonna take passives or we're gonna take Mignoletta's Bounding Missiles for some extra pierce damage. For the beginners, I would recommend taking Mignoletta's Bounding Missiles, so you have more option into dealing damage. You'll have Fireball, you have Mignoletta's, you have Electricity, you'll have convert hits to crits from the Gaze, and then you'll have Chill Fog, Slicken, and classic minor missiles. So for the beginners, Mignoletta. But in this case, because I really believe that you can win most of the fights without a single spell over here, also expose vulnerabilities is great. What we're gonna take is concentration with combat focus. We don't wanna get interrupted, okay, so that's why we're taking combat focus, and we say next. Up to level 6, we're taking Arcana into Metaphysics, and now the spell that remains for this level, it's either gonna be one that I told you about, so Mignoletta's Bounding Missiles, or Expose Vulnerabilities. Also, Noxious Burst is quite good, but I would take none in this case. I would make Aloth strong-willed, okay, so he doesn't get dominated, charmed, and so on. We're gonna take Bull's Will. Passives are better than learning flat spells, because you can switch flat spells with grimoires, okay, along the way. There are multiple grimoires in the game, there's like 50 grimoires, but you cannot get passives for free like you do spells with grimoires, so that's why we're taking Will. Level 7, Arcana, Metaphysics, next 2 points now, and now comes the time to decide. What we get out of this is the Wall of Flame, but we also get the Frozen Fireball. It doesn't count here, but it's in the grimoire that we're using, okay? So same like classic Fireball, only it paralyzes enemies. Yeah. So what is smart to do? Confusion is really great. Mignoletta's Concussive Missiles great against some type of enemies, okay? Writhing Tentacles, probably the best tanking support summon early on in the game, as well as later on in the game, so there's a lot of great spells, yeah. But what we're gonna do? We're gonna take passives, and because we're gonna use Ninjagot's Flame, okay, that deals freeze damage and paralyze, we're gonna upgrade Secrets of Rhyme, and we're gonna upgrade Spell Shaping, so our spells become wider. They're gonna have bigger AoE, and we're gonna take Cold, and we're gonna take Spell Shaping on this level, and we say next. On level 8, Arcana into Metaphysics, and now for the next spell we can take Fire, okay, Penetration with Fire, because we got Wall of Flame, we got Fireball, we got Freezing Ball, okay, And we got Chill Fog, so we cover both ice, fire, and shape, or better to say area of effect for spells. We say next. We pick wands, and from this point on, it doesn't matter what weapon proficiency you take, you took the 3 that are the most important, magical implements, yeah. And we say next, level 9, Arcana, into Metaphysics. This is tier 5. Tier 5 Slumber is insane how good it is, but it doesn't work against undead. Okay, what we get for free is Bitter Mooring, which is quite solid, and Torrent of Flame, which requires positioning. Okay, also Form of the Helpless Beast is one of the best crowd control spells in the game. But again, if you want those spells, like Malignant Cloud, Helpless Beast, Wall of Force, Slumber, you just switch grimoires. What we're gonna focus on are passives, okay, and here in these passives we got range with spells, we got action speed with spells, we got crits, hits to crits, and we got tough. We need all 4. That's how simple it is. What's the most important for the start? It would be action speed of spells, so Aloth in combination with Electricity of Motion casts those spells faster. You got spell casting faster here, and then everything else is mega fast when you cast. Okay, for the next one, we're gonna take range with spells, so Aloth remains further away from the fight. We say next, we go to level 10, we get Arcana, Metaphysics. Here, we take resistances, hits to crits, and we say next. Next again, level 11, Arcana, Metaphysics, and now it's tier 6. With this grimoire that we're having, with the Frozen Fireball, we also get Freezing Pillar, which is quite useful, and the Death Ring. Now the Death Ring is very, very good. Okay, huge AoE around Aloth, and the best part, you don't damage allies, only enemies. So what we're gonna take now is Spirit of Decay, extra penetration with Decay and Acid, and here in the bottom line we're going to take crit damage flat, so Aloth crits more often, or better to say his crits will hurt more. And we say next. For level 12 we go with Arcana, Metaphysics, we say next, and now we're gonna take Tough for Aloth to become tougher, more health equals he won't die as often, yeah. And we say next. For the weapon proficiency, it really doesn't matter, take whatever the hell you like. We move to level 13. Arcana, Metaphysics again, and now there's the Delayed Fireball, which is absolutely great, and there is Ninagat's Killing Bolt. But what's the best spell? It's Tain's Chaotic Orb. Okay, so if you use some Grimoire that has Tain's Chaotic Orb, great. If you don't use Grimoire with Tain's Chaotic Orb, this is the time when we're gonna spend some skill points on learning spells, even though I hate doing it, because passives are way much stronger. We're gonna learn Tain's Chaotic Orb, because this is like top 5 spells in a game, in all classes, not only for Wizard, that's how great it is. And here, now we came to Empower, because Aloth with Empower hurts a lot. What we wanna get for Empower at the start would be Accuracy with Empower. Why Accuracy over damage, crit, and beneficial effects? Very simple. The bigger the accuracy, the bigger the chance you're gonna hit someone with your spells. Everyone requires huge accuracy, especially on harder difficulties, and that's why Empowered spells are great to have extra accuracy from the get-go. And we say next. Level 14, Arcana, Metaphysics, next. Over here now, what we're gonna take is, of course, Penetration with Empower spells. And we say next. Arcana, Metaphysics, we say next. And we're taking Damage with Empower. And we say next. Level 16, Arcana, Metaphysics, we say next. Here, we already get Wilting Wind from the Grimoire, and it's the most important spell also. Wall of Many Colors is the best crowd control spell in the game, and Kalakot's Freezing Rake is, well, quite good at dealing damage, okay? So what we got now is multiple options. Now what to take? I would recommend the Wall of Many Colors over flat damage, because you're gonna deal flat damage with other spells. And for the final point on this level, we're gonna take resistance against spells on Aloth, okay? You do not need maximum empower points, do not waste on that, because when you rest, you're gonna recover empower points, okay? So every time when you rest, you get your empower points back. Do not waste points on a Great Soul. This should be like maybe here on tier 1, but even then I would not take it, okay? It ain't good if it's all the way down, you know. And we say next. For the weapon proficiency, it really doesn't matter what we're gonna take. I say next. Arcana, Metaphysics. And you cannot see what I took here. You see what it is. Everything we took so far. Basically, you can only see damage with Empower. Level 17. Level 17, this is the time where we're gonna take Heart of the Storm. Now we don't have a single electricity spell and there is Chain Lightning, yeah, but there is something that's called Scrolls in the game, okay? And there's a lot of great scrolls that deal lightning damage, so we're gonna take lightning damage penetration as well. Yeah, next. Level 18, Arcana, Metaphysics. Next. Again, what we're gonna take now is Affliction and Inspiration duration of empowered attacks. Very good when you use empowered Wall of Many Colors, empowered things, Chaotic Orb, and so on. Extremely good, they last longer. Okay, debuffs, they last longer. And we say next. Level 19, Arcana, Metaphysics, we say next. And now the problem with this Grimoire, and why I was playing with Mora's Grimoire, is the final tier where the absolutely best spell is Mignoleta's Missile Salvo. This changes fights. It deals insane amount of damage in quite a big area of effect. It clears most of the enemies in campaign and it deals solid damage against mega bosses even on the hardest difficulty. It is a must, we need to learn it and we need to raise maximum power level. The bigger the power level is, the stronger the spells are. So it's very important. There are also potions to drink for power level and so on, where Aloth will become even stronger. Those are the tricks to win fights basically, which I'll explain in some other guide, but for now what we're gonna take is this. And we got one more level after it. Here we're taking Arcana, Metaphysics, we say next, and this is campaign build. It's very important to understand that this is campaign build. I'll also show you spells for respecking against mega bosses. For the final point, now we either take Reflex or Fortitude. What's more important? It's Reflex, because Fortitude is usually someone that's close by to Aloth. No one will get close by. We're taking Reflex, okay, with Snake Reflexes, and we finish the build. This is how you play Aloth. For the weapon proficiencies, it literally doesn't matter. So the campaign build for Aloth should look like this. Pay attention on spells down here. This is all we need basically. And this is how it's supposed to look like. Okay. What's the golden combo for Aloth? Usually you start with Electricity of Motion, then you buff up with Merciless Gaze, then you put up Slicken, Chill Fog. You can ramp someone up with Shadow Flame. If you have single target to deal with, then it's Bitter Mooring. If there's multiple enemies, you're gonna spam Chaotic Orb, okay? If there's like, I don't know, 30 enemies, you open up with Wall of Many Colors, so you control the battlefield. Everyone that passes through a wall will get some effect, some debuff. Stun, Paralyze, Petrify, doesn't matter. And when it gets really tough, you wanna clean, it's Mignoleta's Missile Salvo. That's how you play in campaign with Aloth, okay? But you always open up with this, into this, and then you cast spells. That's how you play Flat Wizard campaign Aloth. Now we go to Mega Bosses Aloth build, and I'll show you the spells. Passives remain the same. Grimoire changes, or better to say, what we're gonna use for the Mega Bosses would be Mora's Infested Grimoire. Let's see what spells are we using for the Mega Bosses once you respec on level 20. So, with Mora's Infested Grimoire equipped, now we are using these spells, okay? Pay attention, you can check by the icons what spells we're using. Again, Chill Fog, Missiles, Slicken. Here, what we use now is Bulwark against the elements. So what is the golden combo? Golden combo would be Alacrity, into Gaze, into Bulwark, and then you start dealing damage with spells. Okay, that's against mega bosses, right? Also, very good crowd control is Mora eating tentacles, and you can do some crazy good crowd control with Form of the Helpless Beast. You can also turn one of the mega bosses into a pig, believe it or not. Also, now we have Petrify with Gaze of Adragan. Also, we're spamming the Tain's Chaotic Orb, and we got a big tentacle as well. And what we got here is classic Wilting Wind, Wall of many colors, and of course, Missile Salvo into Petrification. That's the entire difference for Aloth between campaign build and mega bosses build. Passives on the right side of the skill tree, they remain the same. Aloth also uses scrolls, yeah, so do not forget to use scrolls. There's a lot of great scrolls in the game, scrolls that deal insane amount of damage, for example like Avenging Storm, Maelstrom from Druid. All of that can be casted by Aloth because of the huge arcana. And he's gonna deal insane amount of damage with those scrolls. Not only with those, with all of the scrolls basically. He's quite proficient at dealing damage with scrolls. And what are we using for weapons for Aloth? Here, I was using Amira's Wing with extra Wilting Wind, with Hylian Squall, with Winter Wind, and I was using the Eye of Whale Scepter for the Living Illusions and the Enervating Terror. Also, what's very important to say, why I'm using these two. One is blunt and slash damage, the other one is pierce and slash. So we cover both one-handed, crush, slash, two-handed, rad, pierce, slash. And you switch when you see enemies resistant to, I don't know, blunt, you're gonna switch to pierce. When they're resistant to pierce, you're gonna switch to blunt. So you switch between these two weapons. Now, what items do we use on Aloth? As I said, Amira's Wing for the rad, best rad on Aloth, and the Eye of Whale, best scepter on Aloth. Also other wizards and mercs can use it, also druids can use this, okay, like Tekehu and so on. You're not wrong if you give them to them, okay? And for the ring early on, a Ring of Boundless Stars is absolutely great because it gives Mignoletta's Concussive Missiles and Tain's Chaotic Orb. You'll find this early on in the game, and this ring is what you're gonna use for the first 15 levels basically, okay? So have that in mind as well. Also, what are we using for rings? Ring of Focus Flame, accuracy with flame attacks, because we're gonna use a lot of flame attacks, and we use Kuaru's Price, damage with spells, intellect and perception, but this is a late game ring, so probably you will use this one the most instead of this one. This one is like for mega bosses, okay? For the helmet, White Witch Mask. For the amulet is the Third Eye, convert hits to crits with spells. And he already has a lot of that in passives and in spells as well, so he's gonna crit non-stop. For armor, best would be Robes of the Wake, found in the DLC. Anyways, what you should use on Aloth, the most important stat is recovery time to be 0%. So any robe that gives 0% recovery time is the robe you wanna use on Aloth until you find Robes of the Wake. Why 0 recovery time? Because you cast spells faster. Okay, simple as that. For the boots, we use Vitrax Silk Slippers, mega late game boots. Before that, you can use boots that give intelligence or something like that to have bigger area of effect on spells. For the cape, Shroud of the Phantasm, absolutely great because of the Living Illusions. For the grimoires, I told you which are good. Again, Mora's Infested Grimoire, Ninjagats, Lengrat, Vaporous Wizardry, and Archimir Illuminating Discoveries are great grimoires. There's a lot of grimoires in a game, okay, and you can use them as well. It all depends what you like, what you need. But this is how many grimoires are in the game, as well as trinkets and so on, so choose smart. I told you what spells are the best on Aloth with this build. For the gloves, we're using Fire Thrower gloves, Evocation +1 power level, nothing better, okay, when you want to deal damage. For the belt, Captain's Belt gives some constitution and he becomes immune to push and pull, because some enemies will try to pull Aloth and kill him. This gives him immunity. In other words, it keeps him safe in combo with a cape. Okay, and that would be the itemization for Aloth. Nothing more to say about it. This is like Basically, I gave you 2 different builds for a wizard. Classic caster wizard. Aloth is strongest at crowd control and huge AoE damage in this case. And some self buffs. And that's about it. You wanna play with other grimoires, those are completely different builds. I basically gave 2 illusion evocation builds on Aloth. By far, he's the main damage dealer in the game, especially with these builds, when you stick with Aloth to be a flat wizard. So, what do we do with Serafen and his skills? I recommend going with full stealth, because you're gonna need one character, one companion in a team that's gonna be able to sneak and steal, because there's a lot of things to steal in the game. And of course, Cipher, we go with insight, so we max out stealth and insight. So let's begin. Level 2 on Serafen. The first one in line would be what to do with all of these spells. There's quite a lot of good spells in the game, but Cipher is at its strongest when combined well with other characters, or better to say, when he shares Ancestor's memory, when he makes allies brilliant for them to recover spells, and when he gives extra penetration to those that actually deal damage. That's when Cipher is the best. And nothing out of all of the damage dealing spells, crowd control spells here can compare with Ancestor's memory and with driving echoes. That's how strong they are. So how do we play Cipher? We want Serafen, okay, early on in the game to be with penetration, so he can penetrate with his spells, and we want to reach Puppet Master. Once we reach level 20, we're gonna respec the entire build, and we're gonna ignore all low tier spells, and we're gonna start taking spells only from tier 7 and beyond, so 7, 8, and 9. That's the case with Serafen. You need to respec him only once to make him work. So the very first skill we're gonna take is Penetrating Visions, of course, and we say next. Level 3, we set Stealth and Insight. There are 2 great spells early on in a game that you can learn. Okay, so that would be Recall Agony and Amplified Trust. I recommend Amplified Trust because it attacks deflection, while this one, Recall Agony, attacks will. There's gonna be a lot of enemies with huge will, but there's gonna be a lot of squishes with low deflection. So you can help out a lot with Amplified Trust. Either ways, whatever you wanna take, everything is valid. And also, Psycho-Vampiric Shield is quite good. So consider what you're gonna take here early on. But what we're gonna focus on are passives, because they are more important, because we wanna make Serafen strong, okay, with passives, while preparing him to go with Ancestor Memory and Driving Echoes. So what do we take now as far as passive abilities go? Do we take Focus Gain, or do we take 30% to damage? We take Focus Gain. We need focus to cast Cipher spells that are quite OP, yeah. And in your case, now you're gonna take something out of these 3, but I'm preparing the Mega Bosses build here, so we're gonna take Two-Handed style, because we're gonna use two-handed range weapons on Serafen. Okay, next. We stick with Stealth and Insight on level 4. And now what we're gonna take for passives is, of course, Iron Will. It just plus 15 to will. You cannot skip it, it's just way too good. Now we say next. Now what do we learn? We insta-learn Arquebus, and we don't care about any other weapon proficiency until the very end of the game. You can take whatever the hell you like. The most important thing is Arquebus. Off we go to level 5. We stick with Stealth and Insight. And now you're gonna learn Puppet Master. It's just way too good to skip, okay? Early on in the game, this is what's gonna win you most of the fights with Serafen in your team, Puppet Master. So that's what you're gonna learn. But we're still gonna keep focusing on the endgame build, and we're gonna take passives again. So what we're gonna take is Penetration with Weapons, Hammering Thoughts, and we're gonna take Psychic Backlash. And we say next to level 6. Again, we're taking Stealth and Insight. And over here now, as I said, you're gonna learn Puppet Master. We won't need it for the endgame when you respec, okay? So for the end game, we're gonna take something like Snake Reflexes or Baird's Fortitude. We take Snake Reflexes. Now we say next after level 7, Stealth and Insight. Now on this tier, quite a good spell is a Silent Scream, and that's the one you're gonna learn. Okay, Silent Scream. In this case, for the late game build, we're gonna take Maximum Focus, and the other point will go into Bear's Fortitude. So now Serafen is backed up with passives. And we say next, after we go to level 8, Stealth and Insight. And now what we're gonna take is Outgoing, Affliction, Duration with Lingering Echoes. Cause you got Tenacious Grasp here, base spell on Serafen that you can cast, and this is gonna prolong its time. For the weapon proficiency, it really doesn't matter, learn whatever the hell you like, and up we go. On level 9, we remain with Stealth and Insight. New spells opened up, and Ringleader is definitely the best one that you can take here, and this is the one you're supposed to learn, and this is the first time where you're gonna respect Serafen, you're gonna take out Puppet Master, you're gonna take out Amplified Trust or whatever you learned from tier 2, and you're gonna put points into Ringleader, okay? Or better say, you're gonna put 1 point into Ringleader and gonna spam Ringleader to dominate and charm enemies in AoE, big AoE, okay? So this one is pretty much a must mid-game, around level 10. Now what do we do with passives for the late game? We immediately upgrade the Psychic Backlash into Brutal Backlash, and we immediately take Convert Hits to Crits, and up we go. Level 10, Stealth, Insight, next. Now what we're gonna take is Keen Mind, extra focus on the start of combat, and we say next. Level 11, Insight and Stealth. New spells opened up, you don't need them, still the king is the Ringleader, okay? So you're still not respecking, you're gonna respec once you reach tier 7. So in this case now, we're taking Resist against spells, and we're taking Accuracy with Cipher spells against Will. Yes, it is against Will, okay? And up we go to the level 12. Stealth, Insight, next. Now we're taking Improved Critical. We say next. Here we can learn Hunting Bow and War Bow until the end. And we say next. Level 13, Stealth, Insight, next. Now comes the time when you're gonna delete all of the spells, you're gonna respec when you are level 13, cause you finally reach Ancestor's Memory. You reached Brilliant. Brilliant that you're gonna spam non-stop and recover the best spells in the game on your allies. Okay, that's how great the spell is. It's probably the best spell that exists in a game, like top 5, and I would say number 1 spell in the game would be Ancestor's Memory, of how strong it is. You don't even need to look at other spells anymore, so what you're gonna use is Ancestor's Memory, and you're gonna use Ringleader, and that's about it. You don't need anything else. Everything else now goes into passives. On Serafen, because we're gonna use our Cipher spells to buff allies, we do not need Empower, and that's very good because we can save points. All of these Empower passives, we don't need them. Yeah, so what we're gonna take now, we're gonna take Tough. We're gonna raise some health points on Serafen. After we go to the level 14, we stick with Stealth and we stick with Insight. Now, what we're gonna take is the Complete Self, and we move on to level 15. On level 15, we stick with Insight and Stealth, and now it's time that we take action speed with spells so we can cast Ancestor's Memory a bit faster. Yeah, so we're taking Rapid Casting, and we say next after level 16, Stealth, Insight, next. Now, as far as defensive Mind Web goes, Ripping Knives and Time Parasite is cool, you can learn, but again, this is just waiting you to skip, and there is no better spell, so you can pass without learning a single skill, or better to say spell, Cipher spell here, and we can keep focusing on passives until we reach Driving Echoes. So, what we're gonna take now? We got 2 points. We can learn a Soul Echo, and we can opt in for Echoing Horror, okay? Because you're gonna deal a lot of damage with Serafen and his base weapon. Here, for the weapon proficiency, we can go with a Warbow. Say next to level 17, we learn Stealth, we learn Insight, and now we got extra points to take wherever we like. I recommend some low tier spell, okay, because we're gonna use more focus for Ancestor's Memory, so we can go and we can spam something like, I don't know, Amplified Trust or Recall Agony, things like that. Basically, it's something that attacks Will, so we could go with a Recall Agony this time, yeah, because we don't need anything else in passives, we took absolutely everything. After level 18, well, with Stealth, Insight. Again, we got extra point. Put it wherever you like, whatever spell you think is good. Test it out. I told you what's the best, okay? You could go, for example, something that attacks Fortitude, because you keep attacking Will on enemies, okay? And they are buffs, so you don't attack Fortitude. Take something that attacks Fortitude, for example, or Classic Deflection. In this case, maybe we can take Soul Ignition. You have multiple options in combat, yeah. After level 19, we're taking Stealth, Insight, and now we're taking Driving Echoes, and we're raising the overall power, Prestige, so +1 to all power levels, and Cipher is completed. We got one more point on level 20. What is good to take? We take Shield, Protective Soul. When receiving damage, when crit, you get 25 points of shield. Useful, you won't get one-shotted maybe. Okay, at least not on Path of the Damned upscaling difficulty. And this is how we round up Serafen. The most important spam is Ancestor's Memory. Once you have Ancestor's Memory on your entire squad, and once you have the Priest buffing up and prolonging the time of Ancestor's Memory, that's the time when you're gonna start doing the Driving Echoes and give penetration to everyone, while Priest keeps prolonging both Brilliance and Penetration at the same time. So you got two best buffs in the game that are gonna be prolonged by the Priest non-stop. And that's why Cipher is so strong. So Cipher goes very well with a Priest. Cipher is not that good alone. Same like Priest, not that good alone. But Cipher combined with a Priest makes like the best combo in a game. Okay? So Serafen and Xoti are the best combo in the game by far. For the final weapon proficiency, learn a crossbow or whatever, and we round up Serafen now. How do we play Serafen? I explained while I was playing. Basically what you wanna do at the start of combat, sneaking, shoot at someone, raise your maximum focus on 230, and then you start spamming Ancestor's Memory. Okay, once you're done with Ancestor's Memory on all allies, then you're gonna start spamming Driving Echoes and keep shooting in between until you get focused. That's about it. It's simple as that. Early game, you wanna try and dominate enemies before you respec with a Puppet Master, then with a Ringleader. Once you reach like level 15, you respec, you don't need Puppet Master and Ringleader, then you focus on Ancestor Memory. So basically play two different builds, one till level 15, one from level 16 and beyond. Okay? That's how it goes with Serafen. Now, we want to trigger the passive aim shot for extra accuracy on the Arquebus. And what are the items that we're gonna use on Serafen? Serafen should always remain behind the team and shoot. So he should be safe non-stop. So items. There is only one item that we're gonna use on Serafen and none other. You can find this one in Neketaka, in Delver's Row, the red hand. It's absolutely brilliant, cause why? It shoots twice. When you shoot twice with this Arquebus, it means full focus. Okay, when you have full focus, you can spam Cipher spells, and that's why no other weapon comes close to it. Yes, pistols are faster, bows are faster, but this one just fills up the entire bar with focus and you can spam. So in one hand you wanna have the red hand Arquebus, in the other one you can have Veil Piercer just because of the pierce slash damage, and here only covered pierce. Okay, so we need a bit of slash damage as well if enemies are invulnerable to pierce. That would be the weapons. As far as the other items go, Black Blade Hood for the helmet, we want perception and action speed. Cipher's Shackle for the amulet, extremely good because you're resistant to dexterity afflictions. For the armor, we want armor with low recovery time. Perfect is 0, but Miscreant Leathers, because they give -10, they're only 10% recovery time once upgraded. That's the best armor that you can equip on Serafen. Okay, for the rings, Ring of the Marksman, you're gonna shoot very good on Serafen, and Harmony, because of Resolve and Lover's Bond, you can share Intellect Afflictions with an ally. For the boots, Dexterity, and resolve, resist to might afflictions. The other one gives us dexterity afflictions resists. Okay, so Serafen is quite resistant to everything that exists in a game like this. No one can touch him, and as a Cipher he's got huge will, so he can't get touched by will as well. Everything is covered basically with this itemization. As far as the belt goes, flat up constitution. Okay, gloves convert misses to grazes with proficient weapons. Proficient weapon is arquebus. I don't have to explain anything further. Cape, classic fortitude reflex, will, greater protection. And that would be Serafen. Very easy to play, a must in a team. If you play as a Cipher on your main, then you don't need Serafen. But for the mega bosses, you gotta have Serafen in your team, because Brilliant makes all fights way much easier than they're supposed to be. Okay, so have that in mind. Serafen is very useful during the campaign as well, especially early on in a game with Dominate and a Ringleader. Anyways, that would be it with Serafen build as a Cipher. So, as far as Pallegina goes, we're gonna stick with Athletics and we're gonna max out Religion. So, Athletics and Religion combined. There is a reason for this, for the build I'm giving this. Active and passive skills, they're gonna scale well with itemization. So, stick with this too. And let's go to the classic leveling. The very first thing we're gonna upgrade on Pallegina is a no-brain Deep Fate upgrade for the Fate and Conviction. Up we go to level 3. The next thing we're gonna learn is Athletics and Religion. And now we immediately take Zealous Aura, because it's just way too good to skip. And the thing we're gonna use the most is the Exalted Focus for the extra accuracy and to convert hits to crits. So Zealous Aura, Aggressive Pallegina. For the next ability, we're gonna use a two-handed style, 15% more damage with two-handed weapons. So we take this passive and we take Zealous Aura, up we go to the level 4. Again, we stick with Athletics and Religion, and now we're gonna learn Retribution. For the weapon proficiencies on level 4, what we're gonna learn is a Morning Star. Basically, we wanna learn all two-handed weapons. We don't need range, we don't need one-handers, we don't need shields or magical implements. All we need are two-handed weapons. We start off with a Morning Star. She already comes with a Greatsword, and that's about it. We're gonna switch between Greatsword and Morning Star, okay? We don't need anything else after this. You can take whatever you like basically in the game and play with a weapon that you like, but these two, we're gonna be using them on this build for Pallegina. Okay, next, level 5, Athletics, Religion, next. And now comes the time to upgrade the Flames of Devotion. Yeah, bread and butter spell on Pallegina, and on a Paladin as well. If you have more melees in the team than ranged characters, you're gonna use Share Flames. If you have more ranged characters, priests, wizards, druids, and so on, ciphers, you're gonna use single target with Eternal Devotion. In this case, we're gonna take Eternal Devotion on Pallegina. She's gonna be a selfish paladin in this case. And the next passive that we're gonna learn is extra armor rating when she gets hit. So we're taking Inspired Defenses. We say next to level 6, we go with Athletics, we go with Religion. Next. And now what we're gonna learn is a Divine Purpose, all around defenses on Pallegina. We say next, next, to level 7, Athletics, Religion, next. And we immediately learn Exalted Focus. We want extra accuracy and hits converted to crits, and that's all we need basically on Pallegina here. And now what we're gonna take is the Penetration with Fire Attacks, because it merges extremely well with Flames of Devotion and the Eternal Devotion. So Scion of Flame is next. Up to level 8, we're taking Athletics, Religion, next. And now it's time to learn all of these passives here. So we need Iron Gut, we need Clear Head, and we need Mental Fortress. We go in order: Mental Fortress, then we're gonna take Clear Head, and then we're gonna take Iron Gut. It's very important on Pallegina to have resists to all annoying things in a game. We say next. For the weapon proficiency, we go with S-Tux, the two-handed S-Tux. We go next, level 9, Athletics, Religion, next. And now the bigger power spike on Pallegina is also extra health with Tough, Resists, and immunity to disease and poisons, while also having healing down. Now, immunity to disease and poison, there are not that many enemies that gonna have that much poison damage and so on, and you can heal up with a priest, you can clear with a lot of different spells and so on. It's a waste of a point, so what we're gonna take here is tough and uncanny luck for extra hits convert to crits, and up we go to the next level. On level 10 we go with athletics, religion, and now we're taking the clear head for the perception afflictions resist, and we say next. On the next level, level 11, we go with athletics, religion, next, and now we're gonna take improved critical, 10% to crit damage, and we're gonna take spell resist flat, 10% to spell resistances. Up to level 12, athletics, religion, next. And now it's time to learn Iron Gut, resist to constitution afflictions, we say next. For the weapon proficiency, we take the pike, two-handed. Next to level 13, athletics, religion, next. Now it's time to take sacred immolation, because it's a great spell on Pallegina, okay. And here we're gonna take the stoic steel, or better to say increased armor while standing still. She's gonna stand still a lot, so there's a lot of benefits out of it. Yeah. Next to level 14. On level 14, athletics, religion, next. Now it's also time to learn hastening exhortation. This is a great buff on allies. Okay, you make them quick. The quicker they are, later on you're gonna make them nimble, so they're gonna have stride and dexterity, or they can have strong and quick at the same time. So the quicker they are, the faster they're gonna cast spells. Hastening exhortation is literally what haste is in, for example, Kingmaker or Wrath of the Righteous. It makes allies faster, they do things faster, so we're gonna learn the hastening exhortation, slowly preparing for the upgrade on the next level. Athletics, religion, level 15, and now it's time to take inspiring triumph. When Pallegina kills an enemy, all allies gain plus 12 to all defenses. Now level 16, religion, athletics, we say next. Huge power spike on Pallegina. What we can take is now quick and strong if there are more melees in the team. Okay, if there are more squishes in a team, then we're gonna take Zealous Exhortation with Nimble. So decide what's your team, what's your party setup. Tankier party goes with orange, squishier party goes with purple upgrade. Okay, that's how simple it is for those buffs. In this case, we're gonna take Zealous Exhortation upgrade, and we immediately go with the next skill point into improved will. We need Will's Will. Paladins are famous for the strong will. We're just upgrading will further like this, so nothing can dominate and charm Pallegina in battle. Next, we're taking up Poleaxe, next to level 17. Athletics, religion, and now with this extra point on level 17, we're going to take accurate empower on Pallegina, so you can actually hit something. Okay, with empowered attacks, a guaranteed hit. Next to the level 18, athletics, religion, we say next. Now we're gonna take penetration with empowered attacks, and we go to the next level, level 19, the last power spike on Pallegina. First, we're gonna take an upgrade for the sacred immolation, and we're going to take sacred sacrifice. Okay, once she drops dead, she's gonna revive with 1000 HP. Why am I not taking the light of the pure zeal? It's an extremely great spell, but it takes 5 zeal to cast. Okay, it's better to spam Flames of Devotion, Hastening Exhortation, Sacred Immolation, then the Wrath of the Five Suns and so on, than to just spend all of your zeal on one spell. Yeah, so have that in mind. And of course, for the remaining point, we're going to take all power levels, prestige, as always. Next, the final level, level 20, athletics, religion, next. The last point we're gonna put will be into potent empower for the increased damage with empowered attacks, and this is how we round up Pallegina as a paladin. She's a great buffer, single target damage, good off tank, nothing can pass through her defenses, okay? And what's most important, the aura. The entire team benefits 24/7 out of her exalted focus. For the final weapon proficiency, we can learn a quarterstaff, so we can say we learned all two-handed weapon proficiencies. And let's see how to play Pallegina and what to do with Pallegina in combat. Usually, how you gonna open up with Pallegina? From the sneaking position, okay, you're gonna try and buff up your allies with Exhortation. Good allies to buff with Exhortation are, of course, Xoti and Aloth, because you want them to cast spells faster. Yeah. Now, if you took the orange upgrade on the Exhortation, then you're gonna upgrade it there with Fit and Strong and whatever it gives. I think it's Dexterity as well. Doesn't matter. Orange, you buff it there and you enter the fight. Purple, you upgrade, you buff Aloth and Xoti, and then you enter the fight. Now, how you enter the fight? Very simple. You put Wrath of the Five Suns and you whack enemies with the Eternal Devotion, Flames of Devotion. After that, you can consider going with a Sacred Sacrifice if there's a lot of enemies around to melt them. Okay, because Pallegina melts everyone around in this radius, in the yellow circle around her. Do not forget to trigger the Exalted Focus here, so all allies benefit out of it. And do not forget also to trigger the weapon ability. What you should empower. You should empower always Eternal Devotion, and only on mini bosses or mega bosses. You're not wasting power on classic enemies, yeah. Now let's see the itemization for Pallegina. As far as weapons go, I covered both Crush, Blunt Damage and Pierce, and Slash and Pierce. So we deal all type of damage in a game. There are no invulnerable enemies for Pallegina. Yeah, so we're using the Will Breaker when we need Crush damage, and we're gonna use the Twin Eels when we need Slash and Pierce. Okay, Twin Eels is slightly better against classic enemies because it's a bit faster, but the Will Breaker has a better penetration for the boss fights. Those would be the weapons. You can use most of the two-handed weapons in a game. There's a lot of good two-handed weapons in a game, but these two are just the best ones to equip. Now, as far as cape goes, we go with a classic Fortitude Reflex Will. You can also play with classic Deflection, or you can play with a Nemnox Cloak. So those would be the cloaks of Pallegina. As far as Amulet goes, Strand of Favor is great. Also, you can play with Protective Eotasm Charm, and you can play with a classic Resolve. The bigger the Resolve, the tankier Pallegina is. Your choice what you want to equip. For the armor, heavy armor or medium armor. I recommend going with Nomad's Brigandine or with the 1000 Stud. If you really want to go with a medium armor, then you can go with the Iridescent Scale. For the rings, classic Fortitude Reflex Will, the other one is Chameleon's Touch. You can also play with Antonia's Signet Ring, or with double Fortitude Reflex Will. This is your choice, or even with rings that give health over time, health per second. For the boots, Boots of the White are great because of the armor, resist you a lot of afflictions. You can also play with a Pathfinder boots, or you can play with a Shorewalker's sandals, okay, for the stride. As far as belt goes, and got this girdle on Pallegina, also valid the Maker's Oath Power and the classic Constitution Girdle of Mortal Protection. Your choice what you want to equip here. For the gloves, Vudika Strangling Grasp is absolutely the best on Pallegina. Also great gloves to have are Gauntlets of Greater Reliability and what was it, Hylia's Talons. These are also great, but I would rather put them on Eder because of the rogue damage than on Pallegina, so I guess stick with Vudika's. Pallegina, as a godlike, cannot wear a helmet, so we won't cover that part. Anyways, that would be the build for the full Paladin Pallegina. So, a lot of people will say how Druids are a good replacement for priests. And yeah, they are, but they're also great replacement for a wizard. So basically, Druid in this game is a mix of a priest and a wizard. That's what the Druids are. Tekehu is no different. You can play him in a lot of different ways, but I truly believe that single class Druid is far more powerful than any multi-class that has Druid in it. Why? The reason is very simple. Druid less tier spells are just way too good to skip. One of the top 5 spells in the game belongs to Druid. Tier 9 spell. Later about it. Let's begin leveling up Tekehu. You got two options for Tekehu. It's either Arcana or Alchemy for the active skills, or it's Metaphysics or Religion for the passive skills. In this case, we're gonna go with Alchemy Tekehu, and we're gonna go with Metaphysics Tekehu, and we're gonna max those two out until the end. You're not wrong if you go with Arcana to use scrolls with Tekehu as well. Depends on your team's setup. Let's begin with leveling. The very first thing we're gonna learn on Tekehu would be Nature's Vigor. So we want plenty of buffs in this case for Tekehu. After level 3, we stick with Alchemy, Metaphysics, we say next, a new tier opened up. Tekehu is a water shaper, so we're gonna focus on freeze damage, and we're gonna take a Wild Strike freeze in this case. And from the active skills, or better to say spells, we can go with a Wood Skin or we can go with a Moon's Light. It doesn't matter, to be honest, you need to have both at some time, so let's start with a Wood Skin. To level 4, we stick with Alchemy and Metaphysics. Now we're gonna take the Moon's Light, and we say next. Now, as far as weapon proficiency goes, all you need are magical implements on Tekehu, so we need to learn Scepters, Rods, and Wands. It doesn't matter in what order. On level 5, we're sticking with Alchemy, Metaphysics. What we're gonna learn from this tier is Nature's Balm, and we're gonna take Starting Concentration with Combat Focus. And we say next. To level 6, Alchemy, Metaphysics. Now what we're gonna learn will be One-Handed Style, and we say next. To level 7, again Alchemy, Metaphysics. And now what we're gonna learn is gonna be Moonwell. We want health restoration and all defenses. As I said, buffer Tekehu. Why do we play like this? This is a Mega Boss build Tekehu, the most powerful version of Tekehu in the game. So the most powerful version is not actually the damage dealing spells on Tekehu, it's pre-buffs. So we're taking Moonwell, and we're gonna take Greater Wild Strike Freeze. We're gonna upgrade the Wild Strike Freeze. Next, to level 8, Alchemy and Metaphysics. We say next. And now we're gonna take Spell Shaping, and we say next. Now we're gonna learn Scepter for weapon proficiency, and now he's got Quarterstaff and all magical implements, and he's basically good to go. You don't need any other weapon proficiency on Tekehu anymore. On level 9, we go with Alchemy, Metaphysics, we say next. Now we're gonna skip all of the spells on tier 5, and we're gonna focus on passives. What we're gonna take now is Penetration with Water attacks, Secrets of Rime, and we're gonna take Penetration with Heart of the Storm. We're slowly preparing Tekehu for the late game build, and we say next. On level 10, Alchemy, Metaphysics, we say next. And now we're gonna take action speed with spells, and we say next. Level 11, Alchemy, Metaphysics, next. New tier opened up. Again, we don't need anything out of this tier, but what we're gonna take now is the Fire Penetration. As I said, we're slowly preparing Tekehu for the mega late game. On top of Fire Penetration, we're also gonna take Improved Critical. Up to level 12, Alchemy, Metaphysics. Now we're gonna take Spell Resist. We say next. Weapon Proficiency, it really doesn't matter, take whatever you like. We go with Alchemy, Metaphysics, level 13. And now comes the time to take Weather the Storm. Very good spell. Extremely good spell, especially against harder enemies and mega bosses. It's a huge AoE with a lot of armor rating on different elements. And now we're gonna need Empower as well, maximum Empower on Tekehu. That's the entire point of this build, Empower Tekehu. The very first Empower that we're gonna learn is Accuracy, of course. We want to hit with Empowered spells. Now we say next. On level 14, Alchemy, Metaphysics, we go immediately for Penetration with Empower. And we say next. Level 15, Alchemy, Metaphysics, we say next. And we're gonna take damage with Empowered attacks. Potent Empower. Level 16, Alchemy, Metaphysics, next. And for the level 16 now, we are upgrading Wild Strike Frenzy Freeze final level. We're gonna give Tekehu some HP with Tough. Weapon proficiency doesn't matter. We go next, level 17, Alchemy, Metaphysics. Now what we're gonna learn is 20% range with spells. Why? Because we're preparing for tier 9, we need range with spells, it's extremely important. Alchemy, Metaphysics, next. And now with Empowered attacks we go with a Lasting Empower to level 19. alchemy, metaphysics next. And now comes the time on level 19 where the probably top 3 spells in a game, Great Maelstrom, is available. Your bread and butter spell, the spell that clears the entire screen with all of these passives that we learned. Now it's fully prepared for the freeze, shock, fire, full penetration, empowered accuracy damage on Great Maelstrom. It easily clears the entire screen, especially if you buff the power levels with specific spells from Priest or with specific potions. Maelstrom, even on Pot of the Damned difficulty, is like the best freaking thing in the game as far as damage dealing goes. Not the best spell, but the best damage dealing spell. So we're learning Prestige for the power level, and of course we're taking the Great Maelstrom. Final level on Tekehu, Alchemy, Metaphysics, and now we only got 1 point remaining. You got options. The first option is to learn something like Avenging Storm if you wanna have fun Relentless Storm, or if you wanna burst out enemies, remove armor rating, Rusted Armor. Or we can opt in for some of the passives. If you plan to heal with Tekehu, if you don't have Xoti in your party, because now you got a lot of healing on Tekehu as well, you can go with the Practice Healer passive. But considering that Xoti is doing the healing and you're gonna have Xoti in the party, we don't need to spend points here. Yeah. You also got one more option in passives. If you play with rods, then you're gonna go with a two-handed style. If you plan to play with wands or scepters, you're gonna go with one-handed style. Okay? So have that in mind as well. Depends what weapons you use on Tekehu, you're gonna switch between these two. Once you respec, decide what you want to play with. Anyways, what I would recommend out of the spells here, I would recommend something like Avenging Storm, for example, but truth to be told, you won't be using it because you're gonna spam Great Maelstrom. I'll explain how you're gonna spam. It's not a single usage of Great Maelstrom during the combat, it's multiple usages as long as you have a Cipher, yeah. So, I would advise with a Rusted Armor, try and remove armor rating out of some boss, because it's useful because of the other companions, okay, so they can breach through armor as well, not only Tekehu. That would be the build for Tekehu and how it's supposed to look like. For the final weapon proficiency, it doesn't matter. Let's see how do we play Tekehu and what do we do with Tekehu. Usually you wanna deal damage with Tekehu. Early on in the game you're gonna use most of his spells, okay, damage dealing spells, buffs, pre-buffs, Moonwell, healing, wood skin, defend against elements, remove armor and so on from enemies. All of that is classic, you're gonna use it a lot. Also the duplicate, also you're gonna use his transformation into a shark once you exploit all of the spells, okay? So there's a lot of options of how you can play Tekehu. This is like a buffer, healer, caster, wizard-like druid Tekehu, but how do we play him at the end of the game, okay, once the Maelstrom is there? Pretty much it's simple, you empower the Maelstrom and you open up every fight with empowered Maelstrom, okay? How and why do we do it? Once we use the Maelstrom, and once it starts whacking enemies, all you need to do now is to shoot someone with Serafen, put Ancestor's Memory on Tekehu, okay? You don't cast anything else with Tekehu, he remains idle. So you put Ancestor's Memory on Tekehu, you go with Xoti. After the Ancestor Memory triggers, you put Salvation of Time. Hence, Tekehu is gonna refresh Great Maelstrom non-stop. And that's the entire point. Non-stop refreshing the Maelstrom. It's how it is, okay? It just deals tremendous amount of damage, it bursts out enemies like crazy. And this is how you should play Tekehu. Very simple, your tanks stand up in front and you just spam Maelstrom, the best damage dealing spell in the game. Basically, druids are one of the weaker classes early on in the game, solid mid game, and very OP level 19 and level 20 for the mega late game. That's what the druids are. Now, what are the items on Tekehu? Let's see the itemization. Everything that I was using on Aloth, that I gave on my Aloth build on the channel, you can also use on Tekehu. Okay. A lot of items that I gave on Xoti, and on my Xoti build on my channel, you can also use on Tekehu. And you can use all of these items that I'm gonna show you now as well on Tekehu, so you got plenty of options, pick whatever you like. So wand, a well of wand is what I was using on Tekehu the most, and here there is a rod, okay, but you need to upgrade the rod and put the two-handed weapon proficiency if you wanna wield this one. As far as armor goes, Flesh Mender is great, Spider Silk Robe is absolutely great. What you need to do is to make sure that recovery time is 0%. It doesn't matter what armor you're gonna use, as long as it's 0%. You wanna cast fast, and you wanna spam Maelstrom like crazy. Okay, that's the entire point, basically. For the amulet, Baubles of the Fin, Constitution, Intellect. For the cape, classic Fortitude, Reflex, Will. Same goes with ring, Fortitude, Reflex, Will. Area of effect, we need huge area of effect on Tekehu, okay, the bigger this area is, the better. You're gonna collect more enemies with Maelstrom. Where were we? Boots of speed, stride, you wanna move fast with Tekehu, yeah. For the belt, flat constitution, so he doesn't get one-shotted. For the gloves, anything that gives might is great. The bigger the might, the more Maelstrom deals damage. Yeah. For the trinket, Whispers of Neriskrilas. Okay, this is from the DLC, I think. And that's about it. Basically, I told you how to use Tekehu proficiently. Now, when you should use Tekehu, should you use Tekehu during the campaign until you're level 19? You can, but he's not as OP as others. Okay, especially with the build I gave, because I gave a constructive build for the end game. But then again, he is quite good. You got Chill Fog, you got Boiling Spray, you got a very good Water Shaper spell, Ocean Burst. You can spam this a lot as well, it deals a lot of damage. So I can't say that he's bad, he is mediocre, a bit above mediocre, till level 19, and then he gets extremely OP, especially in combo with Serafen and Xoti. He becomes unstoppable with spamming this freaking thing that deals insane amount of damage in a long period of time. You can also stack them up, which is also hilarious. You can have like 2 or 3 Maelstroms triggered at the same time on a screen. It just bursts everything there is. That's how OP it is. And they won't change it, because this is like 7 years old game. Yeah, all the patches are done, so enjoy the best spell in the game on Tekehu, and I can easily say the best build on Tekehu for this spell and for this entire party and the team setup. With Maia, it's very simple to play Maia. You just stand behind your tanks and shoot. For the skills, what we're gonna take is stealth for the active skills. And for the passive skills, it really doesn't matter that much. Pick between bluff, diplomacy, and survival. But what I would go for, I would probably go with survival in this case. And off we go to the classic leveling now. The very first upgrade we're gonna take on Maia is for her animal companion. We're gonna get armor rating, cause we want animal companion to become tankier from the get-go. Yeah, her bird. Off to level 3. Stick with stealth, survival, say next. This is a pretty much no-brain. We're gonna take gunner. We reduce reload time. A lot of our items are also reducing reload time, as well as Pesios. You wanna shoot non-stop with Maia, this is it, gunner. And the next thing that we're gonna take is classic two-handed weapons damage, 15% bonus damage. And we go to the next level. On level 4, we're taking stealth, we take survival, and now we're gonna take some accuracy with ranged weapons with a marksman. It's extremely good when you are 4 meters distance and beyond. You're gonna get +5 accuracy, you're gonna hit enemies more often, basically, yeah. For the weapon of choice, all we need is Arquebus. She already has Arquebus, and now you can learn everything, okay? Start up from hunting bow, war bow, complete with pistols and crossbows, and that's about it. You don't need melee weapons, shield, or magical implements, so just the first 2 lines here. Up we go to level 5. Stealth, survival, we say next. And now what we're gonna take is the accurate wounding shot. We're gonna upgrade the wounding shot to be more accurate, okay? You're gonna hit more often, you wanna hit with it, because it's great. ability. The next point we're gonna spend on this level will be on a vicious companion. We want penetration and flat damage on our companion. And we say next. On level 6, keeping stealth, survival. And for this point we're gonna take some defenses. Defensive bond between animal companion and Maia, 10 plus 10 to all defenses against area of effect attacks, and up we go to level 7. Here, stealth, survival, we say next. We immediately take the strengthened bond. We upgrade the defensive bond, now it's plus 15 against area of effects. And now we're gonna learn protective companions, so we can learn the Stalker's Link on the next level and gain bonus accuracy when we attack the same enemy as our animal companion. So up to the next level, level 8, stealth, survival, next, and we immediately take Stalker's Link, and we say next. For the weapon, whatever, take a bow. We move up to level 9, stealth, survival, next. Now we need everything here in this row, except the practice healer, of course, so we need this 3. So we got 2 points, we're gonna take driving flight, bouncing attacks, and we're gonna take uncanny luck for the extra hits to crits, and we say next. To level 10, we take stealth, we take survival, say next, and we immediately take tough, extra health on Maia so she doesn't get one-shotted, next. Level 11, stealth, survival, we say next. On level 11, we're immediately taking the improved critical, cause you rely on Maia's criticals to deal a lot of damage, okay, especially with her arquebus weapon. And we're gonna take survival of the fittest for extra accuracy on both Maia and animal companion. So we say next. Level 12, stealth, survival. We immediately take the spell resist, 10% resistance against spells on Maia. We say next. We learn whatever. Right now, we took what we wanted, arquebus and bows, so you can learn crossbows now, I guess. Next, level 13, stealth, survival, and now the empowered attacks opened up. This is a good question whether you should go for empowered attacks or not, because we do not benefit that much with Maia. With empowered attacks, we benefit more, way much more, with a lot of passives and basic attacks, okay? But it's not a waste to go with Empower, especially for penetration and additional accuracy. It has a solid word against bosses. What we wanna do is to upgrade the animal companion right now, because we wanna slowly prepare for the Banded Fury. With all of these buffs on animal companion, it's gonna become quite crazy, okay? It's a lot of buffs, plus 5 to all stats, plus a lot of different passives. So what we wanna do here is go with resistance to intellect and perception afflictions on animal companion, and we want 50% sneak attack damage on animal companion. And we say next. To level 14, we take stealth, we take survival, we immediately take the merciless companion, more damage on vulnerable targets. We say next. After level 15, stealth, survival, next. Now we're gonna take superior camouflage, 8 plus 8 deflection against ranged attacks. After we go to level 16, we say stealth, survival, next, and we immediately take Banded Fury, okay, to give all of these passives to animal companion. And we immediately learn Twin Shot for Maia to deal more damage. We completely ignore Whirling Strikes, that's for the melee ranger. So we're taking Twin Shot and Banded Fury. I'll explain how it works later on. We say next, we learn the crossbow for weapon proficiency. Next, level 17, stealth, survival. This is very simple. For this 1 point, we're taking the Vengeful Grief. It's quite useful. If animal companion drops, Maia becomes stronger, okay? And animal companion is gonna drop non-stop, even with all of the upgrades, it's gonna soak up damage, but it has to drop at some point, yeah, so Maia can deal damage. Level 18, survival, stealth. Now, for this 1 point available, we wanna raise will on Maia, because we don't want Maia to get charmed, dominated, and so on, okay? So Bull's will on Maia, it is on level 18, and we say next. And now the final power spike on level 19, stealth, survival, we got this too. We can pick between a Heartseeker or the Shadowed Hunters. They're both great spells, but the smart thing is to take only one. So, if you don't know what you're doing, okay, and if you have problems in survival, you're gonna take Shadowed Hunters. But I strongly recommend the Heartseeker, alright? Because it gives extra penetration, it can mean a lot against the bosses, and of course, prestige, we raise the power level. Up to the final level, level 20, survival, stealth, and the less point. The less point is very simple. We're going straight into distraction training for the animal companion, and this is how we finish up Maia's build. Also, if you don't like the -10 deflection on animal companion when he hits enemies, you can also go with attacks interrupt on crits, but there's a lot of spells in the game on other characters and other companions that can interrupt enemies, so you don't need interruption that much with Maia. If you really wanna play with interruption, okay, then once you respec, you don't upgrade the accurate wounding shot, you're just gonna go for concussive shot to interrupt enemies with a weapon. It is reliable, okay, it's a guaranteed interrupt, so consider doing that build as well. If you really want to interrupt, just remove wounding shot and go for concussive, and that's about it. That's the entire difference basically. And then you can obtain also for the stunning shots to keep interrupting non-stop with every shot Maia makes. Anyways, we're taking distraction training in this build. This is how it's supposed to look like. Now let's see how to play Maia. For the weapon proficiency, whatever. The most important thing is that you have a bow and arquebus, because we want to use arquebus. So how do we play Maia? On the boss fights, you want to go with a Heart Seeker. You want to go with a Bandit Fury immediately when you open the fight, okay? Because you want all of these buffs on Animal Companion, yeah. For Animal Companion to be stronger. When there's a lot of enemies, you use twin shots. When there is a single target, or when enemies are standing in a line, you're gonna use a Heart Seeker. For the bosses, it's always smart to use at least one wounding shot for the extra damage. And that's about it. So the combo is Bandit Fury into multiple enemies twin shot, or Bandit Fury into boss with a Heart Seeker. Did not forget to trigger the aim shot for extra accuracy with arquebus. Okay, that's about it. You don't need anything else on Maia. What about itemization on Maia? For the weapon, we're using the 3 bells through. The best freaking arquebus on Maia. Extremely good. With huge penetration, with raw damage, with reduced reload time. This is like the best arquebus in the game, aside from the classic one on Serafen. Here, the red hand, you can also use the red hand till level 10. Once, I think you're supposed to be level 12, 13 when you receive 3 bells through. I'm not exactly sure. It's a late game weapon. So first you're gonna use the red hand on Maia, and then you're gonna use the 3 bells through. Also, you always have to have a war bow or a classic bow equipped for the extra slash damage, because this is pierce damage only. Enemies that are invulnerable to pierce, you'll need to do some slash as well. Okay, so for example, when you fight undead, you need to fight with something like Whale Piercer. Alright, now what about other items? For the helmet, the best is Akina's Tricorn, ranged accuracy, reload time down. Amulet, Elevi's Locket. Armor, no better armor than the Sharpshooter's Garb. Very simple reason, reduce reload time. Also great defenses, okay? Especially once upgraded to the max. Rings, Fortitude Reflex Will Classic. The other one is Ring of the Marksman. Accuracy with ranged weapons and extra penetration. Boots, Dexterity Resolve Boots, complete resistive Might Afflictions. Belt, Classic Constitution resisted Dex Afflictions. Gloves, convert misses to grazes. And Cape, Classic Fortitude Reflex Will plus 10. That's about it with Maia. Very simple to play, a right click companion basically with extra animal companion, or should I say with Ishi. And they can soak up a lot of damage combined together, they can output a lot of damage together. Just make sure that you place Maia behind your tanks, okay? So she doesn't receive any damage. You wanna keep shooting non-stop with Maia basically, yeah. What's the best to use in power for? Definitely on a Heart Seeker. That would be it with Ranger Maia. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll be seeing you on the next one. Thanks for watching.